Hello Transport Nerds and welcome to a very special review on Talking Planning. Today is the 5th of March, which means it's my 24th lap around the sun. It also means that I've got the chance to share a very special review that I never thought I would get the chance to make. So if you grew up catching public transport in Brisbane, you probably will remember the Volvo B10L, an early low-floor bus with bodies by Austral-Pacific or Volvo. The last few of which, including the Volvo-bodied ones, were assembled directly at Brisbane Transport Workshops as Austral-Pacific packed up shop. So the last of these were withdrawn at Brisbane Transport back in 2015, and while many drivers and mechanics were, quite frankly, happy to see the back of them, I actually quite liked travelling on board the lemons, as many called them. The Volvo B10BLE lasted with Queensland operators for a little longer at Transdev and Duffy's City buses, but both of those have now been withdrawn too. Surprisingly, even the high-floor B10Ms outlived the B10Ls by a few months at Brisbane Transport, despite not meeting basic accessibility standards. This review was actually filmed back in early December 2021 on board TV 7984 at North Sydney Bus Charters, but before this journey, my last B10L trip was on Rottnest Island in March 2019, and before that was back in 2015 when they still had some at Brisbane Transport. Speaking of that, this bus was number 569, nice, at Brisbane Transport. Let's jump on board and have a closer look. Departing Lidcombe, you can tell that this interior has retained much of its Brisbane Transport charm, with the traditional BT seat pattern, Brisbane Transport stickers, and the teeny tiny next stop light. I was very excited to see that this bus is in reasonable condition, especially as it isn't much younger than I am, and it's probably travelled many more kilometres than I have. This B10L comes with the Sadair bucket seats, but many of the early ones used similar buckets to those found on the State Transit Scania L113s, and were fitted with custom bench seats over the rear wheels. The early bucket seats were less comfortable than these ones, but the bench seats were way more comfortable. So you had to take your wins with your losses and hope that the back seats were available on the earlier models. Either way, from back here, you can enjoy the sound of the 9.6 litre turbo diesel and 5-speed ZF combo. Have a listen now. If you remember these buses like I did, you will know their design secrets, but if you're new to this, let's have a look at some of the key features.
So if you're sitting in a window seat, you actually still have easy access to a bell button. Underneath the window is a rubber strip, which is a bell, and that is the real power user hack, which passengers would use to request a stop. Of course, for the less discerning traveller, the B10L also has regular bells available on poles. But, being a rail bus service, there was no need to push any buttons, and I could just sit back, relax, and enjoy my trip towards Strathfield. I will admit though, spending a bit more time on board, I began to notice a few signs that maybe these B10Ls aren't holding up as well as I first thought. Some of the seat backs are looking worse for wear, and there's just a hint of rust around the rear window. It wasn't unsettling, but it kind of indicated to me that this bus's days may be numbered. Moving toward the front, you can see that the Brisbane and Sydney bus fashion with "Sit Here" stickers and face mask reminders coexist with Brisbane warning labels, BT seat fabric, and the classic licorice strap belt. It's quite a throwback fusion experience. And as I draw ever closer to Strathfield, it's time to prepare to jump off this bus for perhaps my last ever ride on board an Ex-Brisbane B10L. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon.